Washington's getting it wrong? Hands up. You think Washington's getting it wrong with the way we're dealing with the border? You upset?
Oh my God.
Is Washington getting energy wrong in Pennsylvania?
Oh yeah.
Is Washington getting what we're doing with our kids in grade school wrong? Yes. You think Washington's messing up the Ukraine right now? Yes. Are they worried about China?
Yes.
Today's time for a dose of reality.
Yes.
Campaign edition. Have a seat. God bless you all. I tell you, we started off this campaign doing just this, talking to folks at these rallies. And I'm so blessed to have a couple hundred friends now. And I know that a lot of you have learned a fair amount about what's going down in the election. But I remember at the very beginning when I would walk out here, and I would think, my goodness, people have no idea what I really am going to be able to do. And so there was a lot of skepticism, which I was very happy about, because these aren't supposed to be pep rallies, they're supposed to be ways for us to learn from each other. So I appreciate you very much coming. Quick question, and I want some honesty here, because I get up in the morning and I love everybody. Who are the Democrats here? Put your hands up. One, two. We have one or two, it's okay. I'm actually thrilled when that happens, because it means that people are looking, they're thinking, they're wondering, are we getting it wrong, and what can we do better? So here's what I thought I'd do. Since we got a big day tomorrow, I'm going to go through the ways that I think about how we make America a more powerful and more sufficient and wealthier seeming nation. A bountiful country that we all imagine for ourselves, not one where we're pillaging through the shelves looking for baby formula. You okay with this? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to give it to you one time super fast. This is what I tell people. Brave to be free. And that's the promise that I made to you. That I will be smart, strong, and I won't let you down. Because if you can do those things, good. Brother, hang up. Take care. I don't want to let them down because these calls will get more than 20,000 people on them. So yeah, it's good to have a live audience, but there's a lot of, it's like television in a way. You got people at home too, but there's a lot of them. They want to hear. Not all of them can travel to Montgomery County where we all live. How many of you are cartels at the border? We are giving them profits by not enforcing the law, allowing them to make money, human trafficking across the border, and they have so much profit, they now can diversify. They go out, they buy narcotics from China. And with that Chinese narcotics now also being smuggled through with the people that they're human trafficking, now they've got a wonderful business, a cash business selling fentanyl and narcotics to Americans. And because of that last year, listen carefully, we lost 100,000 American lives. 100,000 lives. That's 4 times more lives than we lost under the age of 50 from COVID. Can you imagine that? That's a lot of people. Because we were trying to be caring about caring, instead of dealing with the fundamental reality that we're funding bad guys. We shut the border down like it had been under President Trump, the cartel goes away. China needs us to fall. They need us to trip. They need us to be irresponsible with our money. So they can begin to devalue the dollar, push us so that we're not quite the strong country with our dollar that we used to be. And that's the real threat. It's not the 8% inflation rate. It's that one day, like a lot of third world countries, our dollars are worth half what they used to be. And we don't want that. We want to be strong so that the world, which is looking at the 2 options, says, I prefer the same shining city on the hill my father saw. I want democracy. I want capitalism. Half the world has our system now. Half doesn't. We fall, China gets it all. And that's why we've got to be serious about what's going on with China. And Taiwan, which is that little island nation, needs to become a porcupine. They have to be armed and protected because the Chinese are watching the Russians. And whatever goes on in Ukraine, they're trying to copy it. 70% of Chinese nationals think they should take that Taiwan. It's theirs. Ethnically, it's theirs, they say. But it's 10% of the world's semiconductors. It's really an issue. And we need a senator who understands this stuff. You got to be smart enough to keep up with the stuff that's coming down the pike at you, because otherwise you can't represent the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And then when you know what you got to do, you got to be tough. It's easy to sign the checks, send the money out. But you don't want me doing that because I wouldn't do it with your money. Here's the idea. Think about this. You should be your own practical people. If you're running a business, would you invest a couple $100 million to build a pipeline that some activist or some lawyer or some bureaucrat might just fiat away and say, you know, I can't do it anymore? without even thinking about it. What they want to know is their national security interest to us. That we're not going to just shut them down willy-nilly because it's politically expedient. They want to feel like we care. Harold Hamm, the father of the energy renaissance, he says they won't call him back. He calls the White House. They don't want to have his opinion. He built the stuff. He's the Einstein of energy. Wouldn't you want to take his call, see what he's got to say? Instead, Joe Biden signs an executive order banning all drilling on federal lands. Those lands are our lands. 1/3 of all the energy in America is under those lands that we own. We ought to be involved in that, especially if it's driving inflation up, hurting our allies overseas, making us energy insufficient, and causing inflation. What we believe needs to be done. Too often, Democrats tell stories that feel good, but they're not truthful. And our truths travel too slowly. We need to be able to go into the culture war knife fights with more than neatly arranged 3x5 index cards. I know how to do that. I've been doing that my whole career. I know we can win those battles, and when we win the minds and the hearts of America, then we'll actually build a country that we know we have right at our fingertips. It's all ours. Let me give you one story, then Max and others will take some mics and get some questions. I played football in college, and before the game, everyone's a little bit nervous, and I wait to the last word of the national anthem before I would run out in the field. And the last word is brave, home of the brave. And I now know why that word was put there. It's so important. You cannot be free if you're not brave. You're all here because you're brave enough to show up in your own lives. I'm asking you to be brave enough to say what you see. How many of you feel like if you're at work and you said everything that you felt politically, you'd be in a little bit of trouble? I mean, isn't that shocking? I mean, 80-90% of people. I know it. In entertainment, it's the same thing. You actually can't say what you see because people judge you negatively, even though if I say, for example, biologic men should not play women's sports, that doesn't seem all that radical to me. As a doctor, it seems pretty logical because a biologic male is different from a female, and we have Title IX protected female sports because we wanted women to be able to achieve excellence, understand what it feels to be the best, and they'll never get there if they're competing against a biologically taller, longer, wider, more forceful male. So now, we all of a sudden pervert that. We sacrifice the women because we don't want to tell the truth about the biologic males who are transgender. And that's not fair to the women. But the question I have is, what happened to the NCAAs? Why weren't they willing to say what I'm sure they know in private to be the truth? Why wasn't Penn, my alma mater, willing to say what I know in their hearts they must know to be true? Why did it take the women's